Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, where I am joined by my coolest so far, my very coolest guests ever. They're from KUHL, and I've got Melanie Webb here, and of course Kevin Boyle. I'd like to thank you both for being here, for sure.
Thank you.
Tremendous to have you. Welcome. It's about time we've had you here on the program. It's been years since we've been talking about the brand. It's one of Utah's most famous, without a doubt, and justifiably so. And with that, let's introduce what makes this a cool interview. You guys are here at our invitation because we're thrilled with the fact that you made a big donation to help out in saving Bonanza Flat. So thank you for that, first of all.
Thanks, Park City. I think for us, Park City, to make it easy, is just given us a lot of opportunity. So without that opportunity, starting here, having White Pine Touring carry our hats back in the early 80s with Charlie and Kathy and Brock all giving us an opportunity to sell in their store. It's great to be able to give back 25, 30 years later and give back to Park City and help the other way.
You know, Kevin, I have to say this. Utah is very brand oriented, for sure. They seem to, if they find something they love, they're proud to wear it. And you just mentioned a couple of people who I know are. Charlie Sturgis, we see him wearing your brand, you know, to this day. I feel the same way. I think there's many people who do. That brand, it means something. And for you, it's meant more than just a clothing line. It's a lot more than that. Tell us about that. What was in your heart when you started it, and what's there now?
Well, I think what's unique about the mountain culture is it's truly different than the surf culture or any other culture in sports. And if we look at the history of that mountain culture, mountains in the Alps were fortresses. They were natural barriers that created these impenetrable walls that armies could not penetrate or couldn't be traveled on any scale. And that created a culture of people helping each other and sharing their knowledge in the mountains, as opposed to throwing rocks off them above a cliff when they're trying to catch a wave. So I think that if we look at that history of that mountain culture and how these people became mountain men and then mountain guides, it's just an amazing culture of sharing and giving back. So I think it's just natural that we have this embedded in our culture. We're very fortunate.
Well, you've proven it again, and Melanie, we turn to you for this. This was a $25,000 donation that was given towards Bonanza Flat. Why, you know, what strikes you, you know, when you think about Bonanza Flat as the reason why this was important?
I think what this is an example of how Utahns value our open spaces and our open lands. The dollar amount, of course, was Kevin's decision entirely, but we know the Wasatch Front faces tremendous pressures in terms of growth.
Yeah, 300 people a day move to Utah,
wow.
They say right now, which I don't think a lot of people understand. It's a lot.
It's a lot, and I know that we're feeling that. We're feeling it in terms of our health and our wellness, and like Kevin was saying, we are a mountain culture as well. I grew up in Orem, Utah, looking up at Timpanogos every day for the first 17 years of my life. Yeah. That means something to me. I'm connected to the mountains, and I think as Utahns we are, and I think what's significant not only about our dollar donation, but this was an example of Utahns collectively coming together as a community to preserve an open space. And we need that space as we continue to grow. We need to be able to have access to land. We don't need more gated communities. We don't need more private golf courses. We don't need another luxury hotel right over the corner from another one. For me, the significance of Bonanza Flats is its spectacular leaves in the fall. That's where I go to take pictures. That's where I go to just wander and sit and look at the beauty. And I think it's really accessible regardless of your fitness level. You don't have to be some hardcore mountaineer to get there.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've said this on the show often, but it's certainly worth saying today. This is where I lost my best friend in an avalanche years ago, back the day when Your company was just starting up, and it remains to me also a place that that I revere, a place of beauty, a place that I don't want to see touched either. And I'm kind of in this position, and I bet a lot of people think about this. We're just like, you know what? Well, let's either grow up in the places we're at, right?
Yeah.
Or let's find places that are further afield that aren't in the that we can spread out a little bit and save some space in between. But either way, we got to do something about making sure that we have something that connects us back to nature again.
Yes.
And that's a big part of it. You guys make clothes so that you can go out and do that.
Yes.
That's what it's really all about. Talk to me about the company and where you guys are headed now. It's amazing the growth of this brand. I mean, we think about that back from the days you guys were making just hats that we could find at White Pine, and now a worldwide brand, a brand that's recognized from being from Utah. Talk about that and where you're headed.
Well, I like to think that we reinvented and created a new benchmark in pants in the outdoor industry, and because we've raised that level, I think everybody in the outdoor industry sells more pants because of KUHL. And I think you'll see in the future that we want to reinvent pants again. We have a lot of innovation coming out of the pipeline. I think what's really unique about KUHL is our philosophy and design is really about talking to both sides of your brain. We can talk to that emotional side that's filled with passion and understands beauty and style, yet we also can talk to your logical side, which is reason and logic with technology and performance. And we have that ability because it's a collaboration between these amazing artists and designers and engineers that all come together to create a product that becomes better than any of us could make or create on our own. Wow. And it's so humbling to be around so much talent every day that it's really quite exciting to go to work and see what we're going to create and what we're going to experiment with today, since we have our entire in-house sample room and pattern makers. It's just really fun to be around.
I bet.
So it's super exciting.
Did you think it was going to be like this when you started? Did that ever come up in your thought that one day I'm gonna go grab my coffee and then walk down the hall and look at something, a line of things that somebody else did? Is that there?
So it's beyond what, in some ways, it's beyond what you could ever dream of.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm a dreamer. So right. I like to dream and watching those dreams come true. So
it's impressive. Well, we are, of course, grateful to you guys for stepping up. We know you're not, your office isn't up here, but we know that this is where you like to office out of the office, right? Get outside and check out that gear, make sure it works. Bonanza Flat, a great place to do it, and I want to thank you guys very much for the work you're doing. I should ask you, have you got anything else you'd like to share with us? Is there any secrets on the upcoming line, things that we know we're going to work on? Pants?
Ooh,
yeah?
We keep a pretty tight lid on.
I know you do. I got a secret right here on the program.
I think you'll see we're going to continue to be disruptive in the marketplace. We don't like to bring or come into a category and just do what everyone else is doing in the industry. So I think that we can be confident in making that statement that we're not going to come into a new category without bringing disruption and innovation.
Well, I have to tell you, one thing that you innovated, I do have to mention that I love. I was over at the store on Main Street, well, often. I window shop there pretty much on at least a weekly basis, if not daily. I do love how you've set up that store where it's shoppable because there's one of everything, and that's it. And if I want different colors, I want a different size, I got to ask to get it. I love that. That is probably my favorite way, and it's always a surprise when they're like, we have this in 6 other colors too. I'm like, you do? They're not, it's kind of fun because you don't know, and then they get them out, and it's like almost opening Christmas presents. I love that. So I want to thank, that's kind of a neat innovation you've done right there by itself. It's a lot of fun to shop there.
Thanks.
And finally, I'm going to say this. It sounds like I'm a total cool guy, but what you're doing for the rhinos, I want to thank you for that too. That is something that's been a passion project for me in protecting the rhinos with Winos for Wildlife and Winos for Rhinos. And you guys have done a lot to step up in that regard. And I want to thank you for that personally. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
It's great to have you guys here in the program. Of course, you can find out more about KUHL by visiting their store on Main Street or checking them out on the web. But either way, again, grateful attitude here on the program for the work that's being done to save Bonanza Flat. And you should thank them too. Go in and spend your money there. We got a lot more coming up here on the Mountain Morning Show right after this.